Hey, it's me again. It's Ricky, and today I think I want to talk to you guys about people at school and how that worked out for me. When I initially came out to my parents and all that, the next day I went to school. It was really weird. It was like everyone was looking at me, but they weren't. So I was apprehensive, I was a little weird. I didn't tell anybody yet for about a week. And I was walking around my school, you know. I just came out to my parents. And it felt like everyone was looking at me, but I knew they weren't because I knew that they knew, but I knew that I hadn't told them yet. So I waited about a week, and I was talking to somebody else at the time, and they were like, you know, I think it's time that you tell people at school. And I was like, you know what, alright. So I went to school, and then the first people I told were two close friends at the time. I told them both, and they were just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, they were shocked a little bit, but they were like, we don't care, because they were drama geeks. And as I started telling more people, they were just kind of like, oh, and I was just kind of like surprised, and they're just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, we gotcha. And it was like that for the most part, except for some weird things. When I came out too, another friend of mine came out, and everyone thought he was joking, but it turned out that he wasn't, so it was kind of really awkward for all of us, because when I did it, it was kind of dramatic, because it was just kind of a shame, but I think the fact that I did it, like, I gave him the courage to do it openly, because we were just sitting at lunch one day, just kind of like sitting there, and then out of nowhere, it was just like, I'm gay. We were just kind of like, LOL, and then he was serious, and we were just kind of like, oh. Besides that, though, I don't think anything was too bad. I mean, people accepted me for the most part. They didn't really care. It was a good thing. I mean, because like I said, people know, and people rather you tell the truth and be real to yourself, and just be real to the world, than be, let's just face it, a lying bitch. If you're a lying bitch, you just don't go anywhere. So I think the fact that, you know, when you come out, you're being really true to yourself, because it's something that you definitely know, because it's a long process to go through, and to actually come out and be like, yes, I am. It's like confidence, you're sure, and people like that in person, I guess. So I guess that kind of was in my favor for most of the part. I did have one friend who was really cool with it and everything. She was like, whatever. And then I was talking to like what I called my life coach at the time, which if I get to it, I get to it. If not, I don't. But let's just leave it at this. We hate each other right now. We can't be in the same room. But at the time, we were in, he was like helping me out. And I went over there, and who knows? Even to this day, I still don't know. Rumor got out, you know. She found out, who knows why, I have no idea, but she was going around telling people that I was having an affair with someone, and I was not. And she was going around saying how I was sleeping with like married people, and how I was destroying families, and this horrible person, blah blah blah, which turned out not to be true, which set me up into a depression, which later caused me to be depressed, and then be a bitch after being depressed, and I'll talk about that later. It's kind of complicated. Like, I was depressed, and then I got better, but that's another story. The people at school, though, they were really good. It wasn't that hard. I mean, I told people, teachers knew. If people came up to me and asked me, I was just kind of like, yeah. When I told people, I was like, look, people are going to find it obvious. I'm not expecting you not to tell nobody, because that'd be unrealistic. So I was like, if people ask you, like, hey, this person, you know what, they can just be like, yeah, he told me himself. Because I'd rather be that than be like, well, I don't know, because that's just the bullshit that none of us really have time for. So I would say it's a good idea to come out to your friends and all that stuff. It's a good thing, you know, just clear the air so no one's uneasy. But, you know, like, watch your ground, because, you know, there are certain circumstances where people are really religious and really touchy-feely, and you have to approach them a different way. Being over here, there aren't that many people, and I didn't have that many with the exception of like one or two, which weren't that bad. But if you have a touchy-feely situation and you don't know what to do, sometimes you just have to take time and think about it. Not too much though, but just kind of be like, okay, this time I'm going to break it to them. And, you know, if you're really friends, you'll stay friends. If not, then obviously it wasn't meant to be. I've been in a lot of friendships where we were really good friends, and then one really small thing, one really small important thing just like it didn't work, and it was just conflict. So if you have one of these situations where it's complicated, you can ask a question, leave a comment, maybe I can reply to it or get back to it. Right? Thanks.